When we first meet people, first thing they say to us is, would you like to hear all about my house? And in fact, they even want to tell us how much they paid for it. But actually, I think they might be onto something, because this particular house, for example, could tell us an enormous amount if walls could speak. 17 Princess Drive has got its own story.
So we have a project called Unexamined Lives, and here we have an unexamined building that it's brought itself to our attention on numerous occasions and via numerous coincidences. And Chrissie, you began to be involved in the project when I did a call out for volunteer transcribers to help us write some of those stories down.
Sue sent me a link and I clicked on it and chose a story from the website to look at, and realised that the story I'd chosen was the story of Jessie Webster, who lived in Princess Drive, and I lived in Princess Drive. The more I read, the more coincidences popped up. Jessie Webster's next door neighbour was the Frosts, and Jessie Webster lived here as a child with gaslight, wanted electricity, and they asked the landlord, Mr. Cheetham, if they could have electricity. And one of the lines in Jessie's story was, no, we're not messing about with number 17 with electricity. And I realised she had lived in my house.
And a very different life to what you'd lived
Very
as well, a
different.
very, very different life. And you were able then to tell your story and be interviewed. We had people get in touch with us, inspired again by this same house, and amongst them was the current owners who invited you to have a look around. And
They did, and my husband and I came and looked round this house and were able to see how amazingly they had restored the Edwardian architectural features, which we had vandalised, because in the 60s when we lived here, Edwardian features weren't cool at all, and they'd replaced some of the things we'd taken out with replicas, it made us feel a lot better about what we did to
about
the
what
place.
you'd done before. The current owners will also contribute and tell their story and help to fill in some of those tantalising gaps that we've got, and to fill in what will be hopefully 100 years of the history of a house as lived by the people who inhabited it. And you'll be working with a local poet.
Hopefully some children, bringing in some children from the school, and with Keith, who will be hopefully filling the gaps for us on the things we don't know, and maybe other people who have an interest in the house might come forward and tell us about it.